The first thing we need to do is create a UL. Whether we do it using JavaScript or through the HTML doesn't really matter. I would recommend doing it through the JavaScript if you want to really exercise this a bit more, so let's do that. So const UL equal document dot create element UL. Then now we have the UL, we need to get it inserted into the page somehow. So we can just do document.body.append child UL. It's in there. I actually add this from there, so let's move that. Next part, loop through the podcast, which means we need a for loop. So for let I equals 0, I is less than podcast.length, I plus plus. And then we need to grab the podcast. Alright, next part. So for every podcast, we need to create an li. And we need to create an h1. So far so good. Alright, so change the inner HTML of the h1 to be equal to the name of the current podcast. So h1.innerHTML is equal to podcast.name. Append the h1 to the li. li.append child h1. And then now we need to add an image to the li with the source set to the image URL, but only if the image URL key exists on the object. So what this really means, if we try to translate it a bit, is that we have all of these objects up here, like we have one name, image URL, name, image URL, name, image URL, and name, but no image URL. So in this case, we should not add an image here because we don't have anywhere to point this. So there are different ways we can check. I'm usually lazy, so I just do if podcast.imageURL. If there's nothing there, that'll return false and don't do anything. Alternatively, you could do if image URL in podcast. You could do podcast.image URL is not equal to undefined. All of these really does the same thing in the end. I just like the short version of this. But these two are completely equivalent for all intents and purposes for what we're doing right now. So then we need to create the image. Again, we create an element with a tag name of image. Then we need to tag the source to the podcast.image URL. And we should add it to the li. So li.append child image. And then for the last part, which should also really have been indented here, we should add the li to the ul. So ul.append child li. And let's see if that works. Now I did the thing I told you not to do, where I wrote all the code in one go and didn't test, and then nothing works. And I assume this is because the Wi-Fi is broken. Again. Hey, images. So that's really the exercise in core, done very, very fast though. Remember when I said that I needed to change these for things to work? So if we do this, all the images will be the same. And the reason for that is a bit technical, but what Chrome does when you add 3 images like this is it says, well, all these images are pointing to the same URL. I don't want to load that 3 times, so I just load it once and then insert it 3 times onto the page. And that's why we get the same one, even though if you refresh, we get another image.
Okay, can I explain it again from the beginning, from the code, what you change?
So this, because this is the exact same URL for all of these, as you can see, they are all the same, all the 3 I marked there. Chrome will say, all right, now you inserted 3 images with the same URL. As you can see here, these are the same link. And Chrome will say, well, I'm lazy about this. If there it's the same link, it's the same thing that's behind the link. Therefore, I only need to load it once, rather than 3 times as specified here.
That can be seen on the network tab
And let's just go. Oh.
Yeah, it only loads one time the 354.
So you can see there, it's only loading once. Images. Rather than 3 times. Which is, if we change it, as I did before, just slightly, then you can see it loads 3 of them. Which again, really annoying that they didn't do this correct in the exercise, but I'm telling you now.
Okay.
So, I'd recommend you all take a small 5-minute break and then try to do this image inserter function. It's considerably easier than the last task, I would expect, at least based on the description.
Yeah, but can I see the code for the image?
That I just did? Sure, I can have it up here.
Let's go.